All right, we're here. Hey, everybody, welcome to the 53rd SongBike Guitar Q&A live stream. My name's Jonathan. I'm here for your questions. And in between your questions, I got plenty to talk about, but your questions are what makes this show. So before I say some hellos and give you some rundown information about what's going to happen today, I'd love to get your questions to start coming in. Put a bunch of question marks in advance. That's how I know your question is aimed at me. And I do see a question that came in bright and early. Matt says, have I heard of Mark Zabel? I haven't. Matt teaches YouTube guitar lessons. Excellent. There's a lot of us out there, right? There's a lot of us. And I wish all of us well. I've made over 500 videos for YouTube. And anybody who has chosen that walk of life, I wish them all well. So, hey, everybody, I hope you're doing well. Here in Connecticut, we have thunderstorms on the horizon. Could we lose power? We could. Anything's possible. But supposedly, in about next 30 or 60 minutes, some big thunderstorms coming through. If we lose power, I guess we lose power. Are we gonna? Nah, it's gonna be okay. So here are some things that I want to run by you today. I have some stuff. Okay. Based on a lesson I recently had with my student Ray, who made the following phrase famous. He said, I play this song in the key of me. I love that. Ray and I were talking about learning the notes on the neck of the guitar on the fretboard. I'm starting with the note A and learning the notes alphabetically, right? ABCs. So I have an ABC lesson for you today. I think you'll get a kick out of that. We have something called the Rule of 100. I want to talk to you about this Rule of 100, a sort of a philosophical approach to getting good at stuff. Someone asked about deciphering ultimateguitar.com. We didn't get to it last week, but I want to give you my perspective on the resource that we know and love called ultimateguitar.com. Of course, I have a student quote for you. I have my own dumb question of the week for you. We have a play along song of the week today, which I'm very excited about. You will need a capo. So grab your capo. You're going to need a capo for the play along song of the week. Of course, we have some of the coolest guitar players on YouTube. I have some names and some YouTube links to share with you for this week. 4 awesome guitar players that you want to know about. We have 2 books of the week. Last Sunday was Father's Day, and my family and I went to visit the Book Barn in Niantic, Connecticut. And along with some great music books, I got this cool t-shirt for my family. Thanks, family. The Book Barn, Niantic, Connecticut. What a cool place. It's the #1 reason why you should come to Connecticut. I love the Book Barn. So I have 2 books of the week to show you that came from the Book Barn. I want to talk about Willie Nelson a little bit today. I want to make sure we include him in our show today. What else? Oh, man, there's always more stuff. The weirdest guitar alternative, an instrument that's like a guitar, but not quite. Can't wait to talk to you about that. Oh, man, a lot of stuff. I need your help. I need your help with some podcast recommendations. And I'll tell you why. And as always, I want to give you guys something, the free blues guide. What's the blues guide? A lot of you have the blues guide already. Head on over to www.song-bike.com and get yourself something for free. The blues guide. Tons of good stuff in a small package. It's an electronic book that you will receive in your inbox so quickly. So don't forget to get yourself something for free while you're here. That's my way of saying thank you to you. Okay, so those are a bunch of the things that I want to use to fill in the space in between your questions today. Hello to Beginner Guitar Lessons. Beginner Guitar Lessons is our moderator. That's why his name is Blue, and he gets a wrench. So thank you, Beginner Guitar Lessons, for being here. Let's say a few hellos. Michael Fisher, Bruce, Christian from Denmark, Johnny Midnight, Wendy, Val, Rock Lobster, Scott. Thank you guys for checking in. Randy, Zulosia, Zombie from Poland. Thank you for being here. TJ252. Hey, how are you? Live to Fly, LTF. How are you? Thunder Ace. I believe Thunder Ace was the first in line, got the front row seat today. Thank you, Thunder Ace, for being here. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Okay, hey, let's get started with our poll question right from the very start, because the sooner we get the poll question up and running, the sooner, the more responses we can get. So today's poll question, there we go. Simple question, but I'm very curious as to what you guys say. And the poll question, it's gonna be a yes, no question. Is it okay to just noodle on the guitar during your practice time? Question mark. Okay, is it okay to just noodle on the guitar during your quote, quote, practice time? What do you think? It looks like we have, holy cow, we got 35 people watching at the moment. So let's get 35 votes in here. Why not? Especially those of you who are involved in the chat. Anyways, is it okay to noodle on the guitar? Now, for those of you who maybe do not speak English as your first language, let me clarify, because that's only right. Noodling is fooling around. Noodling is goofing off. Noodling is making up stuff. Noodling is exploring on the guitar. Noodling is not working hard on a famous song. That's not noodling. That's working hard. You know, noodling is not working hard on your scales and arpeggios. You know, so what do you think? William Collier from North Padre Island. That's where we are, Bill, at the moment. North Padre Island. Love it. Love it. Michael Fisher says there's a book barn in Orland, Maine. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, so there's our poll question. Hey, let's get right. Hey, Pooba John, thank you for being here. Let's get right to our student quote of the week, because the student quote, I love this so much, and this person said it, and they didn't even know that they were that they said something that made my little head happy. I was teaching a student, and we were working on some famous song. I forget what it was. And while the student was working on the song, I'd put the tab in front, and she was working on it. I was queuing up the actual song on Spotify so we could listen to it. And you know, at a certain point, I said, well, let's, like, you know, I'm going to play this song right now, you know. And she's so engrossed in playing it. And she said, well, what am I supposed to do? Just listen? Yeah, yeah. And it's so cool, because that is part of the journey. That's part of the practicing. Yes, there is a time when that's all you have to do is just listen. But I liked that moment, because her timing was great. She said, what do I do? I'm just supposed to listen? Yep. You know, and that counts, especially the harder you listen, the more focused you are, the less distracted by anything else. There's a time when you just listen. And that counts as practicing, especially when you're working on your favorite song and trying to get it note for note, or if you are working on something out of a book and the book comes with an audio example that you can listen to. Maybe you had a lesson with your teacher and your teacher recorded them playing something. Now you can listen back to the teacher playing it. YouTube videos, yes, that counts as practicing. In fact, I would go as far as to say it's almost more important than the practicing itself. Because how do you really know what you're doing unless you listen to the example, the original, whatever, you know? So that made the cut for the student quote of the week. And I'm so glad she said it. And yeah, there's a time when that is your job, you know? Speaking of noodling, Stephen Smith says, I'm noodling while listening to you. Oops. No, but yeah, that's all right. TJ, I see your question. And scrolling up, Bruce, I see your question all the way from Sydney, Australia. Bruce says, can you recommend any guitars for a starting young person, say a 9-year-old? How much money is reasonable to spend? Great question. $200 US, $200 US. I know that that's why I know, Bruce, you're in Australia, so I don't know what the exchange rate is, but $200. The fact is, there's certainly plenty of electric guitars, you know, for 200 bucks in that ballpark. I'm always going to suggest you guys check out Sweetwater. Bruce, what I don't know is I don't know what is the easiest online retailer for you to shop from. I'm guessing that Sweetwater, it does not ship to Australia, but you know what do I know? But in terms of brands, you can't go wrong with Yamaha. Yamaha makes great stuff. For someone who's 9 years old, size means everything. To me, size is even more important than whether it's acoustic or electric or the brand or anything like that. Size is so important. So if you well, a 3/4 size guitar, a lot of makers, Yamaha, for example, actually market something that's called a 3/4 size guitar. Often that's a perfect size for kids. And yet the quality in general is still really good. So a Yamaha 3/4 size, if I could wave a magic wand and have one of those zipping out to you in Sydney, that's what I'd recommend. If you go to whatever your preferred online retailer is and just search for 3/4 size guitars, see what shows up. Interestingly, your typical adult size electric guitar, a Squier Stratocaster, is often totally fine for, say, a 9-year-old, because the body is so thin, the neck is thin. So it's not out of the question that a 9-year-old, maybe someone named Byron, maybe related to you, could play an adult size electric guitar with no issues whatsoever. That wouldn't surprise me. I definitely would not necessarily say, oh, you have to get something that's downsized for a kid if you're going for electric guitar. I think there's a Squier Mini. Fender makes a Squier Mini size, but I'm not saying it's out of the question, but it's much more important for an acoustic guitar to be a smaller size, and 3/4 size is probably fine. So there you go. And I wish I had more brands to recommend. There are plenty of other brands out there, but Yamaha, you can't go wrong with a Yamaha. And those of you who are watching in the chat, feel free to chime in, especially if you have purchased a guitar for someone in that ballpark age range, and have some suggestions. Yep. Hey, whether or not you buy the instrument from Sweetwater.com, you could always go to Sweetwater.com and do a search for 3/4 size guitars, acoustic guitars, and see what's out there, what brands and the price ranges. But yeah, a couple $100. I can't imagine any need to spend like $500. So a couple $100. Yeah. Yep. Tom Robinson. Hello, Tom. Thanks for being here. Okay. I saw TJ. There you are, TJ. Yeah. Okay, TJ says, can you describe how to play a blues groove? I don't mean a solo, but a few repetitive notes that sound good to play between simple licks. Oh, definitely. I would like to play a simple rhythm between licks. I got you. In fact, I was just doing this today. Hold on a second here. Okay. In the ebook entitled The Guitar, Year 1, is a cute little thing called the Muddy Waters Blues Riff. It's my name for it. And okay, I'm gonna put it there on my music stand. Everybody has music stands, right? You gotta have a music stand. You can't put music in front of your on the sofa, the kitchen counter. You gotta have a music stand. Okay. So TJ, here's the first thing that comes to mind, and there's plenty more where this came from, but I've done this with so many students and had so much fun doing it with them. Okay, the sound we're going for. Okay, sound familiar, Bob? What's it called? Bad to the Bone, right? Muddy Waters came first, but a lot of us heard it as part of the heart of Bad to the Bone. But giving credit where credit's due, I call it the Muddy Waters Blues Riff. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that in a second, but that's going to be the foundation. And then I'm going to show you how I lay it out in this book, how two people can play it, or even one person can play it with a nice back and forth thing. Your two center strings, the third and fourth strings. Remember, skinny string is number 1, right? Fat string is number 6. So you take the third and fourth strings, you play both of them open, both of them at the 5th fret. You can squeeze with 2 different fingers or 1 finger clamping down hard. So far we have. Then the same open strings, and then at the 3rd fret, and then the same open strings. So the key to remember is 0-5, 0-3-0. 0-5, 0-3-0. And when I say 5, I mean squeezing both the strings at 5. When I say 3, squeezing both the strings at 3. And when I say 0, playing both the strings as open strings. So if you think in terms of call and response, that's the call and the response. 6th string, E string, 3rd fret. The rhythm is heartbeat, heartbeat. Okay? 1 finger, really use any finger you want. Put the whole thing together. You could play the whole thing with your pointer finger, just clamping down on the 5s, on the 3s, and on that 6th string. Okay, now that's our foundation. What you can do either by yourself or with another guitar player is start it off, but then instead of that response on the 6th string, you could play a few notes that sound like a good response. First skinny E string, 1-3, 1-3. And that's going to essentially substitute for the boom, 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 boom. So I'm going to start off the same way, and then okay, now that's going to be great for a little while, and then you're going to get bored. Like, well, you're going to want to respond to something else. In the book we have right here, it gives you 3, 4, 5, 6, a bunch of other responses, right? All the responses are based on the G blues scale, because this riff, take my word for it, this riff is in the key of G. Okay, and the G blues scale is an appropriate source for little responses, right? The G blues scale, open 3rd string, 3rd string, 3rd fret, 2nd string, 1, 2, 3, 1st string, 1, 3. Put it all together slowly. Okay, that group of notes, the G blues scale, those notes can be rearranged in any order to provide a nice response to. I suggest stick with that heartbeat, heartbeat rhythm, bum, 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 and then having fun. So okay, just knock yourself out with a G blues scale. The possibilities are endless. If you're doing this with another guitar player, then one person is going to stick with the original and then go over the 6th string. Boom, 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 boom. One person's going to do that over and over again. Let's call that the rhythm guitar player. The lead guitar player is going to patiently wait for this to happen. They're waiting. They're not playing during that part. When that part's over, they're going to join in on the heartbeat, heartbeat part. So many possibilities. But if you're the lead guitar player, you got to wait for the first part to pass. Got to wait for that, and then you join in. Bop, 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 bop. So that's, TJ, you're asking a great thing. You're bringing up a great opportunity. So your question said a blues groove. So in my mind, that's the groove. Ba ba da da da, bum 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 bum. Um, and then, like you said, you can put in a little thing. Well, those little responses, I would say those are the licks that you can put in. If you're the only guitar player, then you can put those licks in, you know, halfway through the Muddy Waters blues riff. So yeah, so I like how you're thinking though. There's plenty of great blues grooves that that just sound great, and are worth learning. That book I mentioned last time, Art of the Shuffle by Dave Rubin, that's a great source for things like that Muddy Waters thing I just played. Art of the Shuffle by Dave Rubin. And there's other ones too. In fact, Dave Rubin wrote them. He wrote the other ones, but he's one guy who wrote them. But you can't go wrong with the Dave Rubin book. Bill, I saw your question. Bill says, do you have an opinion on PRS electric guitars? Can you give us a brief tutorial on string gauges, applications, etc.? PRS, Paul Reed Smith make great guitars. They've established themselves for, I think, a few decades now as you know, right up there with the other major American guitar manufacturers like Fender and Gibson, you know, well, Fender, Gibson, and PRS. It's a smaller company, you know, on paper, but you walk into your typical neighborhood music store, and you from what I saw and have seen, you know, there's so many. I saw so many Paul Reed Smith guitars last summer when I made the rounds at a few different music shops, and you'd assume that they were the number one, you know, electric guitar maker in the country. So yeah, so great quality, very interesting company, and a variety of price ranges too. I mean, you can spend thousands and thousands of dollars, but there's the SE line, PRS SE line. I believe those are typically well under $1,000, or at least less than 1,000. And a couple of my students have brought those to lessons, and they're great guitars. So yeah, you can't go wrong with a Paul Reed Smith guitar. They have their own unique feel. You know, every you know, the neck of, you know, it's great, but in a perfect world, you line up a whole bunch of guitars and see how each neck feels in your hand. But there's nothing outrageous about a Paul Reed Smith electric guitar neck, so you do just fine with one of those. But you know, they do have their own unique feel, just like Gibson does, just like Fender does. And when I say Gibson, I'm including Epiphone, and when I say Fender, I'm including the Squire line as well. In terms of string gauges, I use 12s on acoustic and 9s on electric. And in both cases, those are considered relatively light gauge strings. They feel good to me. They sound good to me. And psychologically, I like knowing that I'm going easy on my fretting hand. I'm not pushing it to do anything for anything. You know, I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm not trying to, you know, what they call light gauge strings is unfortunate because I would think they could just call them normal gauge strings, you know, and so yeah, so 12 gauge strings on acoustic, and 12 meaning the skinniest string. The first string is 12 thousandths of an inch, so the strings are nicknamed 12s. And I like the Diodario brand, but there's plenty of brands out there, but I like Diodario. And for electrics, 9s, meaning 9 thousandths of an inch for the skinny E string. I'm not saying no one should use anything heavier than that, but I don't personally have the need to, and I'm totally satisfied with those gauges. As you get especially light, that gets weird though to me. Like I wouldn't want to go any lighter than those for myself personally. Hey, Wendy is recommending a guitar called the Yamaha APXT2 for about $240 US. Wendy, is that a little bit of a smaller size? Maybe. I hope so. Be good to know. Okay. So, Bill, I hope that helps you out. You can't go wrong with a PRS guitar. they look beautiful. They really do. I mean, I've never seen a PRS guitar that didn't look gorgeous. The color and the finish work and all that kind of stuff. And yeah. Okay. How are we doing in our poll? Let's see here. Hold on, I don't want to end the poll. Okay. So far, it's only been 20 minutes. Is it okay to just noodle on the guitar during your practice time? 76% say, yeah, it's okay. 24% say no. They say, focus, do your work. Interesting. I have plenty of opinions. I could argue both sides, and I probably will. But I'll let you, I want to hear what you guys have to say about that. Okay. Let's all wish Willie Nelson get well soon. Willie Nelson was under the weather last night, and the doctor said you gotta take the night off. And there he was, ready to start opening night. It was opening night last night of Willie Nelson's tour with who? With his band, of course, but with Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is opening for Willie Nelson, and who's opening for them? Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin with Alison Krauss. What a cool duo they are. And Willie Nelson couldn't perform last night, so his family essentially did the show, without him. So let's all send Willie Nelson get well soon vibes. My mom asked a great question, and my mom has never asked a question, and so she asked it a little while ago this afternoon, but she's never asked a question that I've answered on the show. So I'm going to answer my mom's question right now. My mom said, "Is Willie Nelson considered a good guitar player?" We know Willie Nelson for the amazing songs he's written. You guys know he wrote Crazy, that Patsy Cline made famous, one of the most recorded songs in human history. And Willie Nelson has written, even if he didn't write Crazy, all the other songs he's written are so, world famous. His voice is unmistakable. He also seems like a heck of a nice guy. Is he a good guitar player? No one talks about that much. I am happy to talk about it, especially since my mom asked the question. Thanks for asking, Mom. Willie Nelson's a great guitar player. And the two things that come to mind are related. He is a big fan of the famous jazz guitarist Django Reinhardt. And we all should be big fans of Django Reinhardt. I know I am. And maybe that's why Willie Nelson's famous guitar, known as Trigger, the guitar that he wore a hole in from playing it so much, is a nylon string guitar, maybe to get a little bit of that Django Reinhardt sound. Django Reinhardt didn't literally use a nylon string guitar, but maybe that's what inspired Willie Nelson to do something other than a typical steel string guitar, to get a little bit more of that jazzy sound, maybe. But the other thing that comes to mind is Willie Nelson is who I use as an example when I'm discussing playing lead guitar solos with students of a guitar player whose instinct is to essentially repeat the melody of the tune when it's time to play a guitar solo. And not everybody does that. When Willie Nelson does it, it sounds so good. And the example I like to use is his classic song, Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. I love that guitar solo so much. It's so classic. The whole recording is a beautiful recording. I mean, in terms of the sound quality, the production of his original version of Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. And his guitar solo is, mwah, love it so much. He sticks to the melody of Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, and he also throws in some beautiful touches. It's just a textbook. I love it so much. So he's a great guitar player, and he's very tasteful, and he has his own style. And so thanks, Mom, for asking the question. And the answer is yes, Willie Nelson's a great guitar player. And if you could do worse than to learn a handful of his guitar solos from his songs. They're tasteful, they're sweet, and it shows you just how good it can sound when you play the melody, as opposed to determining which scale or scales are the right scales to play pentatonic blues, Dorian mode, and you go nuts and sort of get extra creative on top of the song. Nothing wrong with that. But Willie Nelson is an example of how good it can sound when the player essentially sticks with the melody, but has enough musical knowledge and taste to embellish upon the melody. So we'd all do well to study some Willie Nelson guitar solos. So thanks, Mom, for that question. I appreciate it. Okay. Okay. I need your help, my friends. For a few weeks now, I've been saying to myself and to some of you, and putting it in my little promos for the live stream, here, I'm going to share with you some cool guitar podcasts. And that was my intention. There's been a bunch of guitar podcasts that I've heard mentioned, and I thought, I'm going to make a list of those, listen to them, and share those names with you guys, especially my favorite ones. Maybe they'll all be my favorite ones. Okay, little problem. I don't like them. Are there any guitar podcasts that you guys listen to that you return to and you think, oh, it's Wednesday night, I'm going to listen to this person's guitar podcast, or hey, I'm going for a walk in the woods, I'm going to bring my earbuds and listen to such and such guitar podcast? Help me out here, because I feel like I'm I'm letting you guys down. I listened to five different guitar podcasts. I couldn't find one that I felt strongly about. I'll tell you a couple that one that I liked, called Gear Club, and I called it by a different name 2 weeks ago. I think I called it Gear. I know what I called it. It was wrong. So the Gear Club podcast, not specifically about guitar, but about music in general, and I liked it. They did a episode which gathered together interviews from people who had worked with Bob Dylan in recording studios, engineers, that kind of stuff, producers. Anyways, I liked Gear Club, and a bunch of the other ones. I just don't feel comfortable saying that you guys should check them out, because I gave each one 10 minutes, and I no, it just didn't work for me. And I don't want to belabor the point. But I would love to hear from you guys if there's certain ones that you like. I've mentioned before one that I really like a lot, which is Phil McKnight's podcast called Know Your Gear. I really like Phil McKnight's style. The Know Your Gear podcast is great. He's got a YouTube channel. He's got a Friday night podcast. Highly recommend it. I wish more people were like him. And the other one, and this is not a guitar podcast, but for you Bob Dylan fans out there, there's a great podcast called Definitely Dylan. There's a woman from the UK, and I like her style a lot. Interestingly, those two people that I mentioned, Laura Tenchert, her name is, from Definitely Dylan, and Phil McKnight from Know Your Gear, I like them both a lot for two different reasons. Laura from Definitely Dylan is so prepared. You feel like she has you feel like she's reading a chapter from a really cool textbook that she just wrote, and she's got this presentation. She knows what she's doing, and she's putting it out there, and it's very articulate and well thought out and interesting. If you're a Bob Dylan fan, even if you're not a Bob Dylan fan, and Phil, on the other hand, his show is made up of questions, just like when I asked you guys to ask me a question. And his is certainly not scripted. He just takes questions about gear, about his experience repairing guitars, his knowledge of the guitar industry, what goes on in guitar factories and stuff like that. So it's not scripted, but I really like how he conducts his show and what he does. So anyways, those are two to keep things on a positive note. I really like those two podcasts, and I would love some recommendations from you guys about, and it doesn't have to be 100% guitar. At this point, I'll take anything. Many Vibes says Nora Jones has a cool podcast. Okay, Many Vibes, tell us more. What does she do in hers? Randy Downing says he watches one called The Guitaristas, an older British guy that reviews guitars. He's funny and fun to listen to. Very cool. Okay, Michael Fisher says the Taylor Guitar Company, the Andy from Taylor Guitars, who's the new CEO and the founder, Bob Taylor. They put good stuff on YouTube. Okay, excellent. Matt McFarland. Hey, Matt. Matt says Jeremy Shepard. Jeremy Shepard has a guitar podcast. Excellent. Jeremy Shepard. That's Shepard with 2 P's. SHEPPARD. Good to know. Danielle. I recognize this name. Danielle says Wednesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, Frank Vignola's guitar night from the Birdland Club. Wow. So that's a live. I mean, that's a performance thing. Frank Vignola, V as in Victor, I-G as in golf, N as in Nancy, O-L-A, Frank Vignola. I definitely know that name, but I didn't know you could just tune in on a Wednesday night and hear him host a show from New York City. Very, very cool. Rock Lobster likes Andy guitar in the UK. Okay, so keep them coming in. And again, you know, for me personally, what I'm personally looking for is something I can listen to when I'm driving. I have a pretty short commute, but you know, after a couple of you know, back and forths, I can finish a podcast. You know, Medibab says Nora Jones is called Playing Along. She has great musicians, and she interviews and plays along with. Oh, I love it. Oh, I wonder, did she begin that during the pandemic? Maybe so. Let's take a break and talk about tonight's sponsor, Fox and Park. Fox and Park, the taste of East Haven, Connecticut. That's right. Tonight we're drinking the extra dry, pale ginger ale. Beautiful. Love it. Thank you. Okay. So my friends, I saw some more questions come in. Keep the questions coming in. I could answer your questions all day. Rock Lobster, I see your question. And Zoologia Zombie, I see your question. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. I'm scrolling up and trying to do these in chronological order. Okay, scrolling. Don't forget, when you ask a question, put a bunch of question marks in advance. Okay, Many Vibe says, the Delta Blues drone makes me happy with a slide. Any tips for that in E standard tuning? Yeah. I'm not going to do it with a slide, but a beautiful thing about the guitar is a repeating note on an open string, like the open E string, and then melodic notes in that key on the skinnier strings. And then right, that sound of two musicians, but you're really just one musician. The trick, by the way, is once you get a string ringing, like the open 6 string there, don't touch it. Don't let the sound keep going. It's so easy to just unintentionally have some part of your body or clothing touch that string, and then the spell is broken, right? So off the top of my head, what I'm kind of thinking of here is, I just want to make sure I answer the question that was asked. Hold on. Okay. So the box, many people call it the BB King box in the key of E, 4-3-5-3-5, meaning third skinny string, the G string, 4th fret, got to be with your middle finger. On the B string, the 2nd string, 3-5 with your index and ring, and 1st string, 3-5 with your index and ring. The BB King box, I've also heard people call it the Albert King box. Okay, improvising with those 5 notes right after you set the stage, right? The open E string sets the stage, and then here you with essentially the E minor pentatonic. Now, you could stick with that and go crazy. You could, without even changing to another chord, so to speak. Because right now, I'm certainly getting the world of E in your brain, right? Real quick, that B.B. King box 4-3-5-3-5, the E minor pentatonic, you can repeat it almost identically with your middle finger on 9 on the 3rd string, 9, 8, 10, but watch out, 7, 10. 9, 8, 10, 7, 10. I'll put this in the description where I timestamp this video. That is almost an exact duplication of the B.B. King box, but that 7 on the 1st string is really significant. You got to play that. 9, 8, 10, 7, 10. That also is an E minor pentatonic scale, and it goes well with the open E string. Now, if at any point that gets to be a little bit monotonous, you're ready for a change, the open A string, a logical step. If we're thinking about being in the key of E, the open A string is the equivalent of moving to the 4 chord, the equivalent of moving from an E chord to an A chord. It gives that feeling, you know? Now, you could stick with the E minor pentatonic. You don't have to change to a different scale just because you hit the open A string, but, you know, the B.B. King box, that would be appropriate with the open A string. Middle finger 9 on the 3rd string, 8, 10 on the 2nd string. Does this sound familiar? But 8, 10 on the 1st string. So close to that thing we did a second ago that had the 7, but not this time. Because we're in another world, the world of A. Okay, now I will put this in the chat, but maybe that'll get you up and running. Many vibes, just those examples right there. Open E string with an E minor pentatonic, both a low version and a high version. Open A string with an A minor pentatonic, and that's the 9, 8, 10, 8, 10. To round things out, you got the 1 chord represented by the open E. You got the 4 chord represented by the A. Some of you right now are saying, yeah, but you need one more thing. There's that 3rd thing, right? And there is. B. 5th string, 2nd fret, B. That's the 3rd thing, right? In a typical blues chord progression. The note B I'm playing, 5th string, 2nd fret, that represents the 5 chord. It's sort of a stand-in for the complete chord. Actually, you could grab a B7 chord, and not do any funny business, just, just strum that chord. There's your 3rd ingredient. If you want to hit that though, and then see, the problem is we're fretting it, and as soon as you let go, the sound disappears. What are you going to do? That's just life, but just to finish off the mini lesson here, if you want to do a B minor pentatonic, especially one that's close by, right here, now that we're back at this end of the guitar, 4-3-5-2-5. And that might seem an awful lot like the very first pattern I showed you. It is. This stuff does overlap. I want to do it one more time. The B minor pentatonic is one way of playing it. 3rd string, middle finger, 4th fret. 2nd string, 3-5, index and ring. And now watch out. 1st string, 2-5. Okay, I know I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you, but speak of noodling, regardless of how you feel about noodling during your practice time, check this out. You can treat this in sort of an abstract kind of way and just say, okay, I'm in the world of E, and here's my E minor pentatonic. Say, okay, got it. I'm in the world of A. Okay, I'm in the world of B. And then maybe end up back in the E for good measure. Right? Hey, you've taken yourself, you've taken all of us on a little trip. you know, there's your E, A, and B, sounds great. Memorizing those patterns that I just did, those little boxes I just did, excellent for your brain. Okay, so what do you think? Would that work for you, Many Vibes? I know I wasn't doing anything with a slide right there. If you're so inclined, everything I just did, I mean, you could do it with a slide on your finger. Here's the open E. So instead of fretting the notes of a BB King box, I'm visualizing the BB King box. And playing the individual notes with a slide. If you're so inclined, why not? Sometime we'll do a big thing on slide guitar. I can't wait. I just have to find the time. Wendy is sending her best wishes to Willie Nelson. Yeah. Willie is 90 years old, give or take. Rock Lobster has a dumb question, but it's not a dumb question. Rock Lobster says, what do the pedals on a piano do? There's only one pedal on a piano that really gives you a lot of bang for your buck. It's the right foot pedal, known as a sustain pedal. When you press it down, it you could say it deactivates a mechanism on the inside, the mechanism that would mute out notes after you lift your fingers away. That gets deactivated, you could say. And therefore, when you press on that right foot pedal, when you play a note, it keeps ringing until it dies away, which could be a long time. So by using the right foot pedal, the notes of a piano sustain, and the sound gets really big until you lift your foot off the pedal. The left foot pedal, long story short, it brings the hammers inside the piano. There are hammers that hit strings. Here's the hammer. This is my right hand. There's the hammer. And the hammers, every key has a hammer that hits against 1, 2, or 3 strings, you know. When you use the left foot pedal, it brings all the piano hammers closer to their strings. So the principle is, I guess, a lighter, softer sound. And if you're 9 years old, I tell you that, you do that pedal and you hit the piano as hard as you can just to prove that it's not softer. Bang, bang, bang. So welcome to my world. But in theory, if you're playing the piano and without any other physical adjustments, you just step on the left foot pedal, it brings the hammers closer and it lightens the sound a little bit. Some pianos have a center pedal, the pedal of mystery. Every time someone asks me what the center pedal does, I Google it, I answer the question and immediately forget. The center pedal, you don't get a lot of bang for your buck with the center pedal, but go ahead and Google it. Center pedal piano. And you too will learn the answer, and you too will forget the answer. Many pianos do not have that center pedal. Like I said, the right foot pedal, the sustain pedal, is where you really get a lot of bang for your buck. It's a beautiful thing. A beautiful, beautiful thing. Okay, my friends, keep those questions coming in. Tom Robinson is recommending the Phil McKnight's podcast, but also one called Sonic, P-Sonic, P-S-O-N-I-C, P-Sonic, or just Sonic with a silent P. He's also recommending 5 Watt World, and Tom is seconding the podcast that Frank Vignola does from New York City. Very cool. Danielle is suggesting Rich Severson on Thursday afternoons. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Combination of a lesson, performance, and arch top gear discussion. Well, I'm asking the right people, man. What am I doing on this side of the camera? You guys know all this stuff. That's excellent. Love it. Okay. Many Vibes, I see your question. I'm sorry, beginner guitar lessons. I see your question. For any of you, those of you out there who aren't 100% sure on a B7 chord, middle finger, 5th string, 2nd fret. Remember, that's your A string, 2nd fret. Got to be your middle finger. 4th string, 1st fret with your index. 3rd string, that's your G string. No jokes. Ring finger on your G string, 2nd fret. Pinky This could be a deal breaker for a few of you. Pinky, skinny first string, 2nd fret. No 6th string. Don't touch it. Don't play it. Ignore it. And what you're left with is a 4-finger 5-string chord. That sounds like that. The B7 chord. And I must be crazy. I got this big white paper here. Why not? Let's make a big old B7 chord since I got this paper right here. And while I'm doing this, I should mention that teachers, including me, especially me, present chords as if there is one and only one way of playing them, and that is not true. And sometimes it's not even the easiest way of playing a chord. This is not necessarily even the easiest way of playing a B7 chord, but it's in the neighborhood of all the other chords we know and love, like the chords that sound good with B7, such as E, E minor, or E7, A, or A7, you know. So there's your B7 chord. So, and know it, love it. Especially for those of you who are into blues. Blues music, especially guitar-based blues music, is very often in the key of E. And if you're playing any blues song in the key of E, you're going to definitely need a B7 chord. Okay, hey, before I go any further, let me turn you on to what I got for Father's Day from the Book Barn in Niantic, Connecticut, besides the cool t-shirt. Okay. You guys have heard me mention the name of Fred Sokolow before. And Fred, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but I love his book so much. So I picked up a used copy of The Complete Jazz Guitar, written and arranged by Fred Sokolow. Man, I love this book already. Can I tell you, it was $6. I mean, this book, if I had time, this book, I could use this book for a couple hours a day. It would keep me busy and happily entertained for weeks and weeks and weeks for $6. Oh my gosh. I have a lot of his other books. I don't have this one. And it's the copyright date is 1980. I don't know if this is the first book that Fred wrote, but I think it's the earliest one I personally have seen from him. So I don't know, maybe this is the first book he ever wrote for like a big name publisher. So cool. Among the many things I like about this book is when he shows his arrangement of a tune, like say, Don't Get Around Much Anymore. He has plenty to say about it, about his choices. He calls the sections commentary and notes, some suggestions for improvising on top of the tune, all this cool music theory kind of information. So it's not just, hey man, here's a cool way to play a famous song. He really gets into the weeds in a good way. And I think that's awesome. So thanks to my family, I got something that's going to keep me busy for forever. And a totally different note, but oh man, I had to get this one. A book that Wynton Marsalis, the trumpet player, co-authored with Frank Stewart, Sweet Swing Blues on the Road. If you want to get inspired to be the best musician you can be, I love this book. It is a lot of black and white photographs by Frank Stewart of Wynton Marsalis as he tours around the world with his band. But Wynton Marsalis did all the text, and there's plenty of that. And his passion for music, it just comes through on every page. Such a cool book. And I'll share with you something that I'm still thinking about. If you have your copy handy, this is from page 168. And he says, teaching is important. On Saturdays, I took lessons from John Longo, Norman Smith, or George Jansen. They were great teachers. I learned all of the fundamentals of playing from them, and also every now and then from Bill Fielder. He taught at Mississippi Valley State and showed me how to play the piccolo trumpet. Most important, they taught me that you must solve the most difficult problems yourself. I'm still thinking about that. They taught me that you must solve the most difficult problems yourself. To develop as a musician, you have to not mind doing the work. As Mr. Murray always says, everybody wants to be the hero, but they don't want to slay the dragon. So I'm still thinking about that. Anyways, the book is full of great pictures, of course, of musicians on the road, Wynton Marsalis and his band, but just lots of really inspiring text about what it means to go for it and play your instrument and study your instrument to the best of your ability. Very cool book. Name again, Sweet Swing Blues on the Road by Wynton Marsalis and Frank Stewart. You ready for the price? $5. $5. Oh, so cool. When it was published, they were asking $18, and it's certainly worth more than that. $5. I'm a big fan of used bookstores. And the Book Barn, Niantic, Connecticut, absolutely my favorite bookstore. So there you go. I want to share that with you. It was a good Father's Day for lots of reasons. Had a little breakfast out with my family. Beautiful weather. Went to the Book Barn. Had some more coffee at a different place. Took a nap. A beautiful thing. Hey, Many Vibes is recommending Tom Straley on Mondays on YouTube. Yep. Scott Rhodes says, when I hear Niantic, I think of one of the ships buried under downtown San Francisco. That is news to me, but that's fascinating. And Joseph is seconding the recommendation of Tom Straley. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Strahle. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. My friends, we better get to our song of the week, our play-along song of the week. If not now, when? And that's a fair question. Our play-along song of the week. I am going to keep the preparation short and sweet, darn it. Let's just keep it short and sweet. This song is so straightforward. You need a capo. Grab your capo 4th fret, everybody. Capo at the 4th fret. And let's do this thing. This song needs no introduction. There we go. Today's song of the week. From U2, I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. There you go. What do you need for this song? Nothing. You need a capo and 3 chords, A, D, and E. That's it. That's it. We're going to be playing this song very soon. So grab your guitar, grab your capo. I'm not going to talk for 20 minutes. Ooh, I just hear some thunder. Oh, boy. Remember I said thunderstorms might be coming? We're about to find out. Okay. I'm grabbing my capo. You guys know this song, right? Of course you do. I believe this song from the Joshua Tree album. The Joshua Tree album was the first compact disc I ever bought. I didn't own a CD player. I knew a guy who had a CD player. So I bought the Joshua Tree compact disc, about $17, $18. It was pretty new. I brought it to school with a blank cassette. I said, would you record the song on the cassette for me? And a day or two later, he gave it to me. And the sound was so amazing. Remember that? The first time you heard a compact disc? In this case, it was a cassette stuck in my car cassette player, my family car. And still the sound quality was insane. I mean, the clarity, right? Remember those days? Just insane, the sound of a CD. Okay, so there you go. First responders are responding. Yeah, it's probably thunderstorm related. We have the verse up here. We have the chorus down here. The chorus is when you hear Mr. Bono sing, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Okay, some things to know besides the capo at the 4th fret. The top section here, let's call this the verse. In fact, I'm going to write that in, verse. The top section happens twice. Verse. The bottom section. The chorus also happens twice. It's shorter than the verse. That's fine. Still happens twice. Okay. See those little slash marks under the chords? Those represent 4 counts. What you do during those 4 counts is up to you. I'm certainly not going to do exactly what the Edge from U2 did with his cool effects and everything. But after 4 counts, it's time to move to the next chord, which is A again, A again, A again, finally a couple of Ds, and then back to A again. Lots of time to get ready for that D chord, all right? So no excuses. You got plenty of time to get ready for that D chord. When you get to the end, those little 2 dots at the end means repeat, go and do it again. So this whole thing is going to happen twice, okay? And then you get to the chorus. Now the chorus, you got to be on your toes. The E only lasts for 4 counts, and the D only lasts for 4 counts, and then you're on to the A for a total of 8 counts, right? You with me? 8 counts on the A right there, 4 plus 4. That also happens twice. And I'll be here to remind you about that because you will hear me singing the chorus line twice. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. And if you're tempted to start back at the beginning, not yet, because here I am saying, I still haven't found, because I'm on the chorus, I'm still singing the chorus. That's the whole tune. For the record, there's an interlude in the middle of the tune, kind of a little instrumentally thing. That is beyond the scope of this live stream. Yeah, it's an A chord with some embellishments. I don't even know. I honestly don't know. It's a little interlude. The goal here is to get you up and running with some that you can play in the right key with the right chords and sing along or accompany someone else who's going to sing along. That's it. Okay, you ready? I am going to grab my lyrics. I'm going to grab my ginger ale. The overall speed, like the A chord in the very beginning, that represents the first 4 strokes, okay? And I'm going to keep the strumming relatively simple like that. You might hear me kind of start to double up a little bit, but in my heart of hearts, I'm still thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I'm kind of doing this loud, soft, loud, soft, loud, soft. Notice I'm not strumming lots of strings. It's a choice. It's a style, right? Sometimes guitar teachers, including me, forget to mention that. We say, okay, grab an E chord, and people strum all 6 strings because number 1, it sounds great, and number 2, you're allowed to strum all 6 strings. Great, except you might be going for an effect, and I'm going to go for this effect. That's a tighter, more controlled sound. So I'm really strumming maybe the 4 heavy bass strings. I'm doing a little bit of muting with the edge of my hand, just a little bit with the edge of my strumming hand. So there's some subtle stuff that goes on that sometimes people don't mention. But your ear tells you, wait a minute, how come when I strum it, it sounds like this? And when the teacher strums it or whoever, it sounds like that. Well, they forgot to give you a little extra information, and I've been guilty of that myself. Okay. Let's do it. 3. This song, as some of you know, I bet, has some great opportunities for harmonies. So don't be shy if you got the urge to join in. Don't be shy. Okay. I'm going to vamp on the A chord for a minute. And when I start singing, I have climbed, on the word climbed, that's when this starts. Okay? I'll see you on the other side. 2, 3, 4. I have climbed highest mountain. I have run through the field only to be with you. Only to be with you. I have run, I have crawled I've scaled this city wall, this city wall, only to be with you. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. I have kissed honey lips, felt the feeling, fingertip, it burned like fire. This burning desire, I have spoke with the tongue of the angel. I have held hand of a devil who's warm in the night. I was cold as the stone, but I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. I believe in the kingdom come, when all the colors bleed into one, bleed into one. Yes, I'm still running. You broke the bonds and loosed the chain, carried the cross of my shame, of my shame. You know I believe it, but I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. All right, what do you think? You got that, right? Yeah, A, D, E. Okay, my final word on the song itself. How close is that to a 12-bar blues tune? Really, really, really close, right? It is. It's a 12-bar blues tune. You guys know, you get what I'm saying here? I mean, so super close. Okay, if this were a 100% true 12-bar blues, the only difference would be you wouldn't repeat that top line. A, 4 measures worth of A, 2 measures of D, back to 2 of A, and then you'd go right on to the chorus. Then it would be 100% 12-bar blues, So, as a teacher, that makes it fun for me to teach a tune like this, because we get to talk about a bunch of different things, including the fact that U2 borrowed the form of a 12-bar blues. So here's a question for you. Does that make this a blues tune? Kind of. I'll answer the question. Yeah, it's a blues. It's a blues tune. Bono is not singing notes from a key of A blues scale, not directly, not a typical blues scale with a flatted third and a flatted seventh and maybe a flatted fifth note. But yeah, it's a blues song. It really is. And this is a great segue. If you consider the overlap between blues and gospel music, which exists, and now is a perfect time to talk about our terrific guitar players. The segment that we like to call some of the coolest guitar players on YouTube, and some of these people directly were there, so to speak, when secular, meaning blues type music, and gospel music were running parallel, in the American music market, and performers sometimes strayed, so to speak, from the gospel path into the more secular music path, and their gospel audience had to decide how they felt about that. That was a tough career move to make, because you ran the risk, and you did 100% run the risk of alienating your committed gospel audience. So what am I talking about? I will tell you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about performers, and the first one I'm going to throw into the chat here, and don't worry, I'm going to put all these, in fact, I might even do it right now. I'm going to put these names and YouTube links in the description of this video. How about, to start off, well, let's talk about her, man. Born in 1915, Cotton Plant, Arkansas, Sister Rosetta Tharpe. I hope a lot of you know Sister Rosetta Tharpe. And now all of you do. We got 45 viewers. All right. 40. And let's give a thumbs up. If you haven't already given a thumbs up, let's give a thumbs up, just because this is a live stream which promotes Sister Rosetta Tharpe. The coolest person to ever play a Gibson SG guitar. She's got a beautiful white Gibson SG, and you can see it in the video link that I will put in the description. Sister Rosetta Tharpe. Sister Rosetta Tharpe definitely walked a line between performing gospel and blues. And the research that I did for today's live stream, got into that a little bit. Okay. But the videos are out there. Okay, here comes, born in 1915. How about that? Okay, and again, I will put this in the description of this video. Sister Rosetta Tharpe, please check her out. Do yourself a favor. Okay. Memphis Minnie. Let's talk about Memphis Minnie. Memphis Minnie, born in 1897. How good was Memphis Minnie on the guitar? Really good. Memphis Minnie would enter contests with the likes of, say, Big Bill Brunzi. There we go. And win. And he said she won. He acknowledged that. Memphis Minnie, man. Anybody ever hear about When the Levee Breaks? Yeah, that's not Led Zeppelin. That's Memphis Minnie. Led Zeppelin might have, done their own version of it. Where'd it come from? Again, born in 1897, Algiers, Louisiana. Beginning guitar lesson can tell us exactly what that is. Memphis Minnie. Okay. How about, let's jump ahead into slightly more recent, from 1897. How about Etta Baker? Born 1913, Caldwell County, North Carolina. Etta Baker. Whoa. Absolutely beautiful finger picking. I believe Etta Baker's finger picking was often done, or maybe always done, with an open tuning. And her style was known as the Piedmont style, from the part of the country that she was from, the Piedmont style finger picking. Etta Baker, what a player. Etta Baker, she took off, her career had a brief hiatus, so she could raise her family. How much of a hiatus? How about from 1956, when she first recorded, to 1991, when she recorded for a second time? That's a hiatus, man. And she's terrific. So Etta Baker, E-T-T-A, Etta Baker, common spelling. Okay, and while we're continuing with amazing women who play the guitar, we can't leave out the one who was born first in today's group, good old Elizabeth Cotten. Elizabeth Cotten. There we go. We've talked about her before. Doesn't hurt to talk about her again. Elizabeth Cotton played upside down and backwards. You want to get your mind twisted a little bit? Watch Elizabeth Cotton playing. She would take a right-handed guitar, hold it like a lefty. Okay, so when she'd, I'm trying to make room here. What you and I would do with an alternating thumb on the bass strings, she did with her index finger alternating on the bass strings. And that left her thumb to pick out the melody, the exact opposite of everybody else. So Elizabeth Cotton, man. All right, so those are the 4 players for this week's segment called Some of the Coolest Guitar Players on YouTube. And I put links in the chat, but I will put all of those links in the description of this video when I do the time stamping as well. All right, you guys. Now I'm going to stop talking so much, and I'm going to scroll up to make sure I hadn't missed anything. Scott Rose is asking an interesting question. Would there be a Chuck Berry without Sister Rosetta Tharpe? Interesting. Chuck Berry is such a force of nature, as is Sister Rosetta Tharpe. So I don't want to, but Sister Rosetta Tharpe's style, yeah, I can see why someone would make that connection. That Sister Rosetta Tharpe had it going on, man. She had it going on. And beginning guitar lessons also point out that it's much like Chuck Berry. Yeah, she came first. Okay. So I make sure I didn't miss anything. Everybody, if you have a question, Omar says, "Can we use a chip clip as a capo?" You mean a chip clip like this? I don't know, but why not get yourself something from Sweetwater, like a capo? This is in the description of the video already today, but I'm going to put the Sweetwater affiliate link in the description, in the chat of this video. There we go. Anybody who doesn't have a music stand, or you don't have a capo, or you just want to get some extra guitar strings or something, go ahead and use that Sweetwater link, and that will go a long way. Hey, Deborah Cohen is here. Hey, Deborah. That will go a long way into supporting the channel. Every time you buy something from Sweetwater using that link, they send money to support this live stream, and that's a beautiful thing. And I know some of you have been doing it because Sweetwater let me know. Terry from Liverpool. Whoa, Liverpool, ground zero. Terry, I hope you're doing well, and I hope Liverpool is doing well. My buddy has been to Liverpool and has done all the Beatles tours and all that kind of stuff, and it makes him so happy. I believe he said that he gets choked up as he gets bussed around Liverpool and sees does the whole Beatles tour thing, and I'm jealous that he's done that. Someday, A to Z me is capo-less. No. Capo is a beautiful thing. A to Z me, get yourself something. You can do it. Okay, I don't think I've missed any questions. So Randy Downing, thank you for your super chat. I appreciate that. And I saw, where'd you go, Rock Lobster? I saw your super chat. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that so much. Rock Lobster says, this week's dues. I appreciate that. Super chat is another way that you guys can support the live stream right here. Don't forget, you can also support the live stream by getting yourself something from my website. All the instruction materials, I'm not going to blab about all them because I figure give you guys a little break from that, but head over to www.song-bike.com. And mostly what you see there are ebooks that you can get instantly downloaded into your email box. They all come with audio so you can hear what you're supposed to sound like. And one of the books is a hard copy, that one right there. I just got a new box of these from Hal Leonard. Every once in a while, I order a box from them, sell them, order another box. And the book. That's a hard copy. I personally mail this to you when you order it, and I'm happy to do it. I got a box of books. I got a box of these nice stiff cardboard mailing envelopes, and happy to do that. Okay. What I want to show you guys at the beginning of the episode today at the live stream, I mentioned this, and now is the time to follow up. ABCs, learn your ABCs, and we're going to learn our ABCs on the guitar using good old Ain't No Sunshine, which was our play along song of the week not that long ago. Okay, the premise here is that we all want to know the names of the notes around the fretboard, but where do you begin? And for the fun of it, for the novelty of it, I vote for using our beautiful ABC alphabet that you probably learned, I'm imagining, as a 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old. Let's use the alphabet as a way of figuring out the neck of the guitar, right? Why not? What's more fundamental than ABCs, right? So let's use your knowledge of the ABCs. I'm counting on that, your knowledge of the ABCs, as a way to unlock the fretboard, as they say. Why not? Okay, and then we're gonna apply this to the melody of Ain't No Sunshine. Okay, so check it out. Before I get too deep into the alphabet here, I'm counting on you guys knowing the names of your guitar strings, right? Eddie 8 Dynamite, Goodbye Eddie, right? E-A-D, those are your fat strings, E-A-D, and G-B-E, right? The skinny strings, Eddie 8 Dynamite, Goodbye Eddie. In reverse, I like to say every brilliant guitarist drove in a Econoline, right? Even the best guitar players, sometimes they're driving the van from gig to gig. Every brilliant guitarist drove in a Econoline. I don't know. Easter bunnies go dancing after Easter. Easter bunnies go drinking after Easter. Eric and Dwayne got blues early. I'm sure there's a lot more out there. Every girl band deserves funding. I learned that that's the notes of standard music notation. I learned that from The Simpsons. Doesn't apply to tuning the guitar, but every girl band deserves funding if you're reading regular music. Anyways, okay, so you know the names of your strings. So it's not going to come as a shock to you that the fat string open gets you the note E, right? So what I have here in front of you, what I'm showing you, by the way, this whole lesson, all these pages I'm going to show you are going to be available as a PDF for members of my website. So those of you who are, I know a bunch of you are already members of my website, song-bike.com. There's a bunch of PDFs that are just there just for those members. If you want this as a PDF, so you don't have to squint your eyes at what I'm pointing at here, just become a member of my website, $10 a month, and then you can get this as a PDF that you can download, plus a million other PDFs. Okay, so again, the premise here is we're looking for just A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and we're going to stay within the first 5 frets of the guitar, mostly the first 3 frets of the guitar, with one little extra 5 at the very end. Okay, so before we get to Ain't No Sunshine by Bill Withers, here's every possible A, B, C, D, E, F, G on the 6 strings, starting with the lowest possible note, which is the note E, right, to the highest possible note, within the comfort zone of the guitar, right, which for most of us is the first 5 frets. So we're ending on the skinny first E string at the 5th fret, which is a note A. Great, why not? Okay, so your 6th string, your fat 6th string has E, F, G, has the open 6th string, that's your E. 6th string 1st fret is F. 6th string 3rd fret is G. 5th string open is A. Let's pause right there. You might say, well, wait, if we're learning the ABCs, why don't we start on A? We could have. I thought about that as a teacher. I thought learning the ABCs, we should probably start on A. But you know what? We all know there's the E string. If you know nothing else about the guitar, it's pretty likely that you know that if you don't know all the names of the notes up and down the neck, most of you can figure out pretty quickly, or did figure out pretty quickly, that if you hit the fat string, the open E string, that's the note E, right? So I figured, well, let's start with E, F, and G, because they're waiting right there for you. Let's start with those. Okay. Fifth string, open A. Now we're getting alphabetical, like starting on A. Fifth string, second fret, B. Fifth string, third fret, C. And then we're done on that fifth string, A, B, C, 0, 2, 3. We're done. Notice how B and C are neighbors. B is 2, C is 3. That's the relationship that B and C have. On the fourth string, open fourth string, D. Fourth string, second fret, E. Fourth string, third fret, E. Guess what? E and F are neighbors everywhere on the guitar. Any E and any F are neighbors. If E is 2, F is right next to it at 3. Now we've almost come to the end of the alphabet because remember we're saying A, B, C, D, E, F, G. G, the open G string, no jokes. And there we are. You know, we finished one run through, one pass through the ABCs, especially if we start on that A, ABC on the A string, D, E, F on the D string, G on the G string, and then we're starting at A again, A, G string, second fret. Okay, so let's take a deep breath. In, hold it, out. Okay. You got to clear your mind once in a while, or you know, nothing wrong with taking a breath, nothing wrong with like processing stuff. Okay, so now we're going to start fresh. Here's our A, G string, third string, second fret. B, open B string, shocker, right? That's the note B. C, B string, first fret. Remember what I said? B and C are neighbors. You cannot separate B and C. B is 0. C is the very next fret, 1. D is the B string, second string, third fret. Okay, so we have B, C, D, second string open B, second string, first fret is C, second string, third fret is D. Lastly, skinny E, string open is the note E. E and F are neighbors, right? Jammed together. If E is 0, and it is, F is the first fret. Okay? G, skinny string, third fret. And we're back to the note A, skinny first E string, fifth fret. Good stopping point because it's the letter A, but also because, like I said, that kind of represents our comfort zone. As soon as you get past 4 or 5, you get up there, some of us, and this is me for many, many years, it felt like the deep end of the pool. You couldn't quite touch the bottom, like, whoa, 8th fret, whoa. It was kind of weird. Believe me, I remember those days very, very well. Okay, so let's be less academic and more fun, shall we? Everything we just did there, that group of notes, A's, B, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, coincidentally, those 7 notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, as a group, as a sequence, that's known as an A minor scale, or if you want to really put a fine point on it, the A natural minor scale, because there's actually more than one type of minor scale. You guys might remember talking about the harmonic minor, for example. Okay, Ain't No Sunshine is based on, the melody is based on the A natural minor scale. I'm just going to call it the A minor scale. Every note Mr. Bill Withers sang for Ain't No Sunshine is either an A, B, C, D, E, F, or G. So you can see why I would choose that as our example of having fun on the guitar, but also helping us commit to memory where the ABCs are in our comfort zone within the first few frets of the guitar. See how my little mind works? You know, the academic stuff is okay, but let's tie it in with a cool song, right? Okay, so page 1 here is the melody. Most of us are going to be focused on the tab. I know not all of you might be able to see this crystal clear, but remember, you can download this as a PDF from my website. Nothing wrong with looking at the tab. Don't get scared by the standard notation up there. I left it up there for kicks. Don't worry about it. The standard notation, by the way, all it really tells us that you might not immediately get from the tab is it tells us how he sings the song. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Well, you know the timing because you've heard the song for how many years? Song came out when? A long time ago. Could this song be 50 years old, ballpark? You know? So bottom line, don't get hung up there. Okay. Way up above is the name of every note that you're playing in the tab. My software, when I wrote this out, my software puts the names way up there. I believe me, I wish they were right next to the notes there. But that's okay. You know, give your eyes a little workout. So literally, when Bill Withers sings "Ain't No Sunshine," he's singing E G A C B G A. Right? That's what he's singing. You know. So your homework, so to speak. Of course, play the tab, have fun, you know, do, 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 when she's gone, and I know when she's away, right? Have fun, play the tab, you know, play the melody as much as you want, knock yourself out. But as soon as possible, associate the notes you're playing with the letter of the alphabet, right? E, G, A, C, B, G, A, E, G, A, C, B, G, A. Hey, you notice that? The first two lines of the song, he's singing the same notes in the same order, okay? 2 chances to like get that in your brain, okay? Third line, right? It's all A's, B's, C's, D's. In fact, you know what? It's even easier. Now that I look at it, what letter of the alphabet is missing? You guys can see this, right? There's plenty of A's. There's plenty of B's. It's not even all 7 letters of the musical alphabet. There's one missing. What's missing? You guys can see, right? So my point is, you only have to learn 6 letters. You only have to learn 6, you know, different places on the neck. The letter that's missing is F. There's no F's. Bill Withers just did not sing an F as part of this melody. That's great. No worries. Okay, so see what I'm thinking? You're going to be playing this melody, great tune, beautiful tune, and getting the location. I guess that's the key word, the location of these notes fixed in your brain. Some of them are going to be obvious, like every time he sings a G, every G is literally your open G string, no joke. Every time he sings a B, it's your open B string. It gets easier and easier, right? It gets easier and easier. So, yeah. All right, now, ready for extra credit? You know this is going to be school, right? Extra credit. Oh, quick reminder, in terms of reading tab, Omar, I see what you're saying about tab. Many of us assume tab is the easiest thing in the world. I've come across a handful of students who are so good at reading standard notation, maybe because their first instrument was piano. Often that's the case. That tab is just weird for them, and they just don't feel comfortable. I get that. I mean, it's super interesting, but I accept that. Quick reminder, tab, 6 lines going across. Every horizontal line literally represents one of your guitar strings in a very visual way. The bottom line is your fattest string. It makes the lowest sound. The top line is your skinniest string, makes the highest sound. Some of you may think of that as counterintuitive. Good. If you think of that as counterintuitive, then you're reading it correctly. If it seems weird to you that the bottom line is your fat string, number 1, it is counterintuitive. And number 2, yes, you're reading it correctly. By the way, everything I wrote here is mostly on the skinny string. So just keep that in mind as you're playing it. It's mostly the 4 skinniest strings. Yeah. Every number tells you specifically where to squeeze down on that particular string. So the very first note, which is the note E, this particular E is the 4th string, the D string, the 4th skinny string, right? The D string at the 2nd fret. Which finger? Any finger. Remember, tab doesn't tell you which finger to use. For our purposes, I'm going to strongly recommend, since the tab doesn't tell us which finger to use, play all the 1st fret notes with your 1st finger, 2nd fret notes with your 2nd finger, 3rd fret notes with your 3rd finger. And I believe your pinky gets the day off on this tune. There's just no need to use 4 different fingers. Okay. But again, just to be totally clear, tab does not tell you which finger to use. Don't get confused. 2 does not literally mean use your 2nd finger, even though use your 2nd finger. But that's not literally what it means. So Omar, if that's any help to you, lines equal strings, numbers equal frets. But those of you who would rather just read the standard notation, yeah, go for it. Terry says, tabs aren't bad. It's more the timing that I struggle with. Yeah, Omar confirms you start off on piano. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, timing, that's why teachers like me, we walk a dangerous line. This is what passes for dangerous if you're a guitar teacher. The dangerous line is this. you're essentially telling a student, don't worry about the timing. You know the timing. It's Ain't No Sunshine. You know the timing. And then you go home and you find out just how well you know the timing. And you come to the next lesson, the teacher finds out just how well you know the timing. So yeah, it's a little tricky. And I'm as guilty as anyone of saying to a student, you know the song, right? And so therefore, because you've heard it for 50 years, you will for sure be able to do the song with the right timing. And it's not quite that simple every time. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. I get that. Without a doubt, success with something especially like this lesson plan here, 100% relies on your ear to confirm that you're getting the timing right. And if you have any doubts, it starts with going back and listening, to the original tune, and a lot of patience, and trial and error. Okay, you ready for your extra credit? Okay, extra credit. There we go. What do you notice about this version? Same lyrics, same names up here. What I did is I dropped everything down an octave. So the song still goes E, G, A, C, B, G, A, but I dropped down to, 1 octave lower. So the E that I want you to play is the open fat 6th string E. I included the one you learned from page 1 as a reference point. I want to be extremely clear about this next thing. You do not play both at the same time. Some of you are already doing it. You're trying it. You're getting frustrated. That's not why I did it. Don't waste your time doing it. That's not the point. I want you to be clear that 2 right there is the E that I had you play on page 1. And that's also E, 1 octave lower. That's all. I just want to include that as a reference point. Why? Because remember, the whole goal here is to get you familiar with the locations of your ABCs on the first 5 frets of the guitar, right? So I figured it can't hurt to retain the upper note, the original octave note. It can't hurt to retain that to help you make that connection. Oh yeah, that's E and that's E. Got it. Why not? My instinct is that associating one note with its octave partner that has the same name will help you retain it better. Am I right? I don't know. I've actually never done this before. You guys are my guinea pigs. So you can report back next week if seeing the original melody note up on top served to help you remember stuff, or if it just looked weird and you wish I didn't do that. Yeah, I don't know. The way this is written, it 100% means you play both of them at the same time, but don't do it. I just wrote it that way, as a reference. And listen, if that is a distraction, that's great. I need to know that. I need to know that. What do you guys think? Is that a distraction to see it up there? Because, like I said, you guys are my guinea pig, and this is exactly how, knock on wood, I become a better teacher. Because if you guys are like, oh my God, breakthrough moment, that's brilliant, I'd be like, whoa, tone it down. No, but if you guys like, wow, that was helpful, then I'll continue. If you guys like, yeah, that's weird, and then I don't do it, and then I'm a better teacher, and that makes me happy. Okay, if you can see this, great. If you can't see it, I'll say it one last time. After our live stream, I'm going to put it up on my website. It's not there yet. I started it. I didn't have time to finish it, but it will be up and available on my website, song-bike.com, in the PDFs section. And it will be called Learn Your ABCs, Ain't No Sunshine. So just to wrap up with this segment of our show, I might do this some more with any song that's in the key of A minor, especially if the song specifically relies on the A natural minor scale. Why am I making such a big deal about that? The A harmonic minor scale has one huge difference. It has G sharps instead of Gs, and I want to stick to the ABC alphabet. So I might every once in a while do this with just other famous songs in the key of A minor. I don't know, until you guys cry mercy and you're like, okay, we get it. ABC, we get it. We've memorized it. We get it, and that's fine. I love that. Just that the live chat blows up with like stop sign emojis or whatever the case might be. I don't know. All right, friends. How you doing? You having a good time? You wish you had some Foxen Park extra dry pale ginger ale, the taste of East Haven. East Haven, Connecticut. Hey, some other things I wanted to throw your way include did that. Tom T. Hall. Tom T. Hall. I've been meaning to talk to you about Tom T. Hall. What the heck is up with Tom T. Hall? Tom T. Hall is a very highly regarded country songwriter, wrote some very famous songs, and there we go. You might wonder, okay, and what's the point? All right, I will tell you what the point is. Tom T. Hall came to my attention recently. I just put his name and a YouTube link in the chat because of how he was holding his guitar. This is the kind of thing that gets a guitar teacher's attention. He was holding his guitar. How am I going to do this? Okay. He's standing up, holding it about as high up as you could possibly hold it. I mean, you could almost rest his chin on the guitar. It was as if I didn't know better, he forgot his strap and was forced to perform holding it by any means necessary. But he looks as comfortable and calm and cool as a cucumber on live TV, and he's performing. And I just, holy cow, it's crazy. I have seen videos of Tom T. Hall holding it what I would consider to be a more conventional way, but more than one video has him holding it. Man, it's so strange. It's almost like his right forearm is supporting the guitar. I can't even do it. Anyways, the things that blows a guitar teacher's mind. Scott Rhodes is saying Jerry Marsden holds it that way as well. No strap that I could see. It was a relatively small guitar. I don't know. Tom T. Hall. I'm sure that's not what Tom T. Hall fans appreciate most about his talent. But wow, did that blow my mind. How are we doing on our poll? The question, and I'm going to weigh in on this question in a minute. The question is it okay to just noodle on the guitar during your practice time? So here we have 63 votes. Love it. Well, 81% says, yeah, it's okay. 19 say, don't do it. Don't do it. How do I feel about it? I see pros and cons. Noodle wisely, noodle with purpose. That's my advice. Of course, it's okay. Man, anytime you have the guitar in your hands, that makes me happy. The world is a better place. So do it. Having said that, if you're trying to get a song ready, for Christmas to surprise your spouse for some occasion, then you got to focus on that, right? Noodling does not directly help you with any one particular thing, not directly, right? So use your time wisely. If you have a very specific goal and there's a deadline, you got to watch it, right? You got to focus on that. If all you do is mess around and noodle around, that's okay as long as you're happy, but you might not be making what I call linear progress, right? On a chart. On the other hand, oh man, the kind of things you can come up with on your own without watching some joker on YouTube like me, you can come up with a lot of stuff on your own. You can create some beautiful sounds that are your own sounds, right? Strumming a chord, but then lifting off a couple of fingers from the chord and seeing what sound that makes. There's so much cool stuff you can do just by using your own imagination. So goof around, have fun. My opinion is anything that keeps your left hand active, do it. I don't even care. Just keep that left hand working. Assuming that you're a righty and you're fretting with your left hand, just keep that left hand going. Try to noodle with purpose. For instance, are you writing a song? Are you taking a song which is great? Are you taking a song that you kind of know, but you're changing it around to create your own thing that's based on, or that started with, Sweet Home Alabama, but now you're changing it to kind of create your own thing? Great. Are you taking an idea that you heard on some live stream and you're, moving it up the neck or moving it over a string or something? Great. Oh yeah. So in general, I'm going to agree with the majority that in general, it's okay to do that during your practice time. However, just be aware that you're not allowed to beat yourself up and say, oh man, I still can't play Stairway to Heaven. Well, you got to focus on Stairway to Heaven, right? So, but that's why I threw it out there as a poll question, because you can argue both sides. When it comes down to it, are you happy? Are you having fun? Then keep doing what you're doing. Are you frustrated? Well, then it's time to address it. Hey, you might be frustrated because you've been working on Sweet Home Alabama for 2 months and you're not having fun anymore because that's, it's taken over your practice time. Well, that's a problem too, right? It's a problem too. Okay. Omar says, happy spouse, happy house. Terry says, having a ball right now. Excellent. Excellent. Deborah, I see your conversation with Danielle about the solfege system, the do re mi kind of system. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, a lot of good conversation going on here. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so my friends, I'm looking over my stuff here. I'm here for your questions, but I see oh my gosh, I see a few things we haven't talked about yet. Okay, and we have enough time to wrap, to talk about these. If you have asked a question that I have not answered yet, please ask it again with a bunch of question marks in advance. If you have a last minute question here for today's live stream, now is the time to get it in, because I have maybe 3 things to talk about to get them off my plate. And the first is something called the rule of 100. What's the rule of 100? The rule of 100. This popped up in my social media feed. It said the rule of 100, which is this. This particular person defined it as the following. If you invest 100 hours a year into a pursuit, an activity, like playing the guitar, that averages out to 18 minutes a day. I didn't check that math. I hope that's right. I took that at face value, 18 minutes a day. They said if you do 100 hours a year, 18 minutes a day, you'll be better than 95% of the world in that discipline. Oh, that sounds so good. 18 minutes a day. What do you think? No. I'll tell you what I think. And the answer is no. No, that's not how it works. In fact, I would go as far as to say, not to be too dramatic, but I've literally bet my life, my working life, my career, so to speak, quote, quote, on the fact that it doesn't work that way. It's not that easy. And it certainly doesn't happen. Nothing about that is correct. 18 minutes a day, I guess for 1 year, even if you do 18 minutes a day for 20 years, that's not how this works. Better than 95% of the world in that discipline. Okay, now I get that I got this from social media, and social media is people say anything. But it's a very provocative statement, so I thought I'd take 2 minutes and bring it up with you guys. Because if I were you right now, I'd be saying, okay, wise guy, then what is it? If it's not 100 hours a year, 18 minutes a day, then if I'm so smart, what is it? 100 hours a month? How does that sound? 100 hours a month? Every month? That's 3 hours a day, give or take, right? 3 hours a day? 3 hours a day for a year? I could work with that. then the rest of the statement, I could work with that. It might be a few years. If you're doing 3 hours a day, so in a way that maybe it's a typo, maybe they meant to say the rule of 100, 100 hours a month, and I mean, yeah, 100 hours a month, and you'll be better than 95% of the world. Maybe. To me, that's like that. Now we're getting in the ballpark, you know. And believe me, I understand that when you say better than 95% of the world in that discipline, well, you can't measure this stuff. Just like who's the best guitar player, you can't. I get it. You can't measure this stuff. But like I said, it's a provocative statement, and even though I find it to be a combination of wrong, meaningless, and worthless, it's something for us to think about, you know, because why? Because we're all here wondering, how do we get better at the guitar? And I wonder the same thing about myself, and I wonder about how I can help students become better. So yeah, so sadly, I'm gonna remember Mythbusters. Remember that show Mythbusters? I'm gonna say this myth is what do they say in Mythbusters? This myth, we broke the myth, we destroyed the myth, whatever they said. Someone help me out. But yeah, no, it's a myth. Not the 100 hours a year. That part is a myth. I would love for all of us, starting right now, to put in 100 hours a month for a year, and then regroup and see how great we are at the guitar. Yeah, we'd all be pretty darn good at the guitar, you know. Certainly way better than here we are, June 22nd, 2024. 100 hours a month, that'd be awesome. So you guys may see these types of things too. And as who did I see? Omar was talking about 10,000 hours, right? Now that's a more common conventional thing, that you need to invest 10,000 hours in any, you know, serious activity. And that's what gets you to the pro level, you know. Our other moderator, the one I'm married to, music fan, 1004, says the Mythbusters said this myth is busted. Thank you, music fan. So 10,000 hours, depends how you spend that 10,000 hours. I mean, 10,000 hours over the course of, you know, 1,000 hours a year for 10 years. You know, that sounds pretty cool. That sounds like, man, you spent 1,000 hours a year over 10 years. Love it. And that's the one we all hear. Was it Malcolm Gladwell? Was he the one who gets credit for that 10,000 hours? That sounds like about right. Anyways, in case you guys see stuff like that, which sounds too good to be true. Remember, the whole premise of this was 18 minutes a day. 18 minutes. Does that include tuning? Does that include finding a good YouTube video? 18 minutes. I'm so sorry, guys, but 18, it doesn't. Which isn't to say you can't do something cool. Hey, if you have 18 minutes and that's what you have, that is actually a very cool thing. You got to pick one thing, laser focus on that one thing for 18 minutes. Excellent. That's time well spent, you know? So don't get me wrong. Even though I'm saying, oh, this myth is busted and this is a goofy Instagram thing, which it is, 18 minutes, call it 20 minutes to be fair. 20 minutes. Oh yeah, you can invest that time very wisely. Oh, the ABCs thing we just did. I'm playing, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Capo in the 4th fret, playing it along with the actual recording for 20 minutes. Yeah, man, you know, experiment with some different strumming patterns. That's an excellent use for 20 minutes. I mean, that's a lot of repetition. That's not a very long, even if it's like a 5-minute song, that means 4 times, obviously. Yes, Jonathan, we can do math. So yeah, so 20 minutes is a great practice session as long as you're focused. If you start noodling around that 20 minutes, that's cool, but that's not the best use if you only have 20 minutes. Okay, so Chris Creates says, please talk about playing by ear. Wow. What can you say, playing by ear? one time a guitar teacher said to me that sometimes people would apologize to him and say, "Oh man, I'm not really looking at the music. I'm not really whatever. I'm just kind of doing this by ear. I figure this out by ear, you know." And they would say it apologetically. And he said, "Well, that's like someone's doing some painting and they're saying, 'Oh, I'm sorry, I did this painting by eye.'" You know, like of course you're doing it by ear. Your ear is 100% involved. Even if you're reading music, your ear is confirming that you're doing it right. You know, does it sound like "Ain't No Sunshine" or does it not? Your ear's helping you, right? Um, so playing by ear. Um, since you asked, I think it's fair to say that for sure, not everyone's ear is equal. You know, your musical ear, genetically, you know, some people are more musical than others, and it's not necessarily about how fast their fingers move. It's about how quickly their ear can discriminate between sounds. Um, and I've certainly come a long way. I was not born with an amazing ear. I'm not even being modest. I mean, I realized that I was not, and and it's come a long way. Uh, it's still on my list of things to do to work with that ear training app that you guys have heard me mention before, the Perfect Ear training app. It's just one that I found that I like, and I keep meaning to spend more time with it. But I recommend it. so so let's start with that premise. Not everybody's ears are equal. Everybody's ears can improve, um, especially if you put your mind to it. You know. Uh, nothing. So my other thoughts include nothing wrong with playing by ear, especially if it sounds good. I mean, if you're figuring stuff out or whatever the case might be, nothing, no reason to apologize for that. Although all of us should be recording ourselves, whether you're learning something by ear or learning it from paper or whatever. You got to record yourself because that's your only chance to be objective. You might think you're doing great and you're not quite there yet. But the opposite is also true. Trust me on this. You may think you're not quite getting it. And when you listen back to the recording, you realize, oh, wait, that actually sounds okay. That can happen. I've had that experience. I've had it, you know. With me, the absolute number one time that I've had this experience was if I record myself like live and I make some mistake in a song, and it's all I can think about for the next 10 songs for the rest of the night. I go back and listen to the recording. Almost every single time, the mistake was not as glaring as I thought it was. And in the meantime, I've beaten myself up for a couple of hours. So you got to record yourself no matter how you learn, but especially if you're playing by ear and you want to know how it really sounds, just record yourself. It's so easy with your phone, right? You will not regret it. Um, uh, other thoughts about playing by ear? Um, well, you're in good company in the sense that many of our favorite musicians didn't go to music school. Um, but like say to use Paul McCartney as an example, I'm pretty sure Paul McCartney was born with a really good musical ear, like way above average, you know. Um, so, but you know, he also played guitar an awful lot as a young person. Um, so, Chris, you're opening up a really interesting topic, and in the future, any of you all are welcome to bring this topic up again with some really specific questions. Um, bottom line, though, nothing wrong with playing by ear. We all do it to some extent. No matter how you think you're learning, your ear is confirming if you're getting it right or not. And no matter what level your musical ear is at the moment, it can definitely be improved. Think of it as a muscle, 100%. Deborah asks, when am I getting my new guitar? Knock on wood, 4th of July. They said 2 to 3 weeks, and then they bumped that out another 2 to 3 weeks, but they assured me my new guitar, everything's going fine. It's just not done yet. So that gives me time to sell my old car and gather the funds that I need to pay for the new guitar. Anybody want a Toyota with 280,000 miles? It runs so great. I just don't need it, and it runs so great. But it's an extra car that's taking up space, and I got to pay for this guitar. So yeah, stay tuned. Uh, okay, I thought I saw another question here that I might have missed. Chris, I have not forgotten about that chord melody book. That's my other fundraiser uh, to raise money. And I have, believe me, I just got to find the time. Um, okay, before I forget, I also want to share this with you. The weirdest alternative to playing the guitar. Now, this is a link. I'm not going to be able to talk about it too much right at the moment because it's opening up a very interesting but weird thing. I believe this company is a couple of brothers from Austin, Texas, and they have created a few things, and I'm calling this the weirdest guitar alternative. There we go. Okay. Uh, Soundstone. The company is Soundstone, all one word, Soundstone. And the instrument is called the Soundstone String Armonica. The reason I'm calling it a guitar alternative is originally what I thought it was a cool variation on a guitar that you and I could play someday. And it's not, but it's still extremely cool. And I highly encourage you guys to check this out. Okay. It's a 12-string device. I'm going to call it a device. And every string on the device is tuned to one of our musical notes. Remember the musical alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then the little sharp notes in between, A sharp, C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp. You could call them by the flat names, but I'm calling them by the sharp names. So it's a 12-string with every string tuned to that note. Okay. Now you take this 12-string electronic instrument, because it is an electrified instrument, not just a regular guitar cable, but a MIDI cable, M-I-D-I. You guys familiar with MIDI? You know, it's a synthesizer thing. It's beyond, I'm not a MIDI expert, but I know you need a special MIDI cable. You connect your MIDI keyboard, looks like an electric keyboard, right? But it's a MIDI keyboard. You connect the MIDI keyboard to the stringed instrument. Okay. When you play the MIDI keyboard like a piano, it twangs the strings. Not literally, there's nothing that's twanging the strings, but it's sending a signal to this instrument that they call the string armonica, A-R-M-O-N-I-C-A, like harmonica without the H. And instead of hearing what sounds like a keyboard, like a piano, you hear these strings making this very cool, vibrating, dreamy kind of sound. It sounds amazing. It really sounds amazing. So I was wrong that it's not directly related to our beloved guitar. I'll stand by the fact that it's super interesting. You guys should all check it out. The Soundstone String Armonica. I put a link in the chat just now, and I'll put a link in the description. Now, just so you don't feel like, well, wait a minute, he's talking about something that I'm never going to buy, I'm never going to play, I don't quite understand it. That's okay, because the same company does make something else that I think you will totally love, especially if you play electric guitar or an acoustic guitar that can be plugged in. Okay, Soundstone also makes an extremely cool thing called the Soundstone Guitar Sustainer. And essentially, it's similar to what I first heard about many years ago called the EBow, the letter E, and then B-O-W, the EBow, except this is their version of it called the Soundstone Guitar Sustainer. Long story short, it's a little box type device that you run, that you hold over the strings, and it essentially gets the strings vibrating using magic, using electrical impulses. I don't know. And then you fret it with your left hand. So imagine the strings are constantly vibrating. So the sound is never going to stop. Your left hand, your fretting hand, just controls the sound sliding up and down the strings. Oh, it's so cool. So head over to there. I posted, what I just posted was a link to a YouTube video that Soundstone. If you just go on YouTube and you do a search for the all one word Soundstone, Soundstone, this will come up, the Soundstone Guitar Sustainer. So cool. Again, I don't think they invented the overall concept, but this is their take on the concept, and it's a very cool sound. $35. Okay, so if you're looking to treat yourself to something, $35. I don't have one. Somebody send me one. I'll use it. We'll talk about it. Just a very, very cool sound, especially for those of you who play electric guitar, or your acoustic guitar can be plugged in, because you gotta have it plugged. Whatever you're playing has to be plugged into an amp. So I want to throw that out there. Check that off my list. Okay, the last subject. Terry, I see your question about palm muting. We'll have to save that for another time. Last subject for the night. Deciphering ultimateguitar.com. And this is a little bit of a, I wanted to spend more time on this. I probably will, but I want to, because someone asked 2 weeks ago, and the phrase they used was, can you help us decipher ultimateguitar.com? I thought I would at least crack open the subject, and we can continue it in the future after our break from Foxen Park Soda, Taste of East Haven. That's East Haven, Connecticut. You guys know they don't really sponsor the show, right? But why drink Coke or Pepsi when you can drink something concocted just a few miles away? Why not? Foxen Park, FOXONPARK, the Taste of East Haven. That's not their slogan. I just like saying that. Okay, ultimateguitar.com. What's going on with ultimateguitar.com? What's tricky, and you guys, I'm sure, I wouldn't be surprised. We got 41 viewers at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if 90+% of you have spent not just a little time, but a lot of time ultimateguitar.com. When you type in the name of a song, you want to find out the chords and the tab for a song, Ultimate Guitar is always the first one that pops up, at least in my experience. Always, always, always. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, it's a resource to learn how a song goes. But it has weaknesses. I'm going to identify 2 weaknesses, and then I know it's just about time to go, but I'm going to identify 2 weaknesses, because I think for many of you, it's what comes to mind when you think like, I sort of like ultimateguitar.com and similar websites, but they leave me wanting more, or I realize that I still can't play the song the way I want to, and I'm not sure how to exactly get it right. 2 problems with ultimateguitar.com and many other sites. Number 1, drum roll, please. They don't show you the strumming pattern. That's half of what you're trying to accomplish, right? They show you what to do with your left hand, but not your right hand, assuming you're a right-handed player. That's a problem, right? That's a glaring omission. If they do show you the strum pattern, or the rhythm, however it goes in general, it's done in such a weird, incomplete, unsatisfying way that it's basically unhelpful. They might do arrows. They might do a Q that means quarter note, and E that means an eighth note. Now, to be fair, it's really hard to communicate a strum pattern without using standard notation, right? Quarter notes, eighth notes, rest, 16 notes. It's hard to communicate without that, or without a human being demonstrating it for you, so you can learn it by ear and by watching them do it, right? So to be fair, I don't have a great idea of how Ultimate Guitar can communicate this information. I'm just grateful that they cannot, and it keeps me in business. And then I get to make a book like the Strum Pattern Bible ebook available for you. Song-bike.com comes with a video. That's how you learn strum patterns. You see it written on the page. You see a video of me doing it. You practice it. You learn it by ear. You've got it. Okay. So to be fair, Ultimate Guitar, it's a really hard thing to do if you're not using, a video of a human being doing it. And if you're not, if the audience, which is you all, does not read regular music, not 100% of you, right? I get it. Hey, you know, Ultimate Guitar, they do what they can do. Okay, the other problem, the other weakness, other than not showing the strum pattern or the rhythm, not in a way that is immediately understandable, almost everything I've ever seen on ultimateguitar.com is presented with a lyrics first attitude. And I'm going to use good old, I still haven't found what I'm looking for, as an example. This is what I was using when we did our play along song of the week. There you go, the lyrics. Do I still haven't found what I'm looking for? Okay. All right, you guys can all see that okay, right? Now, when I typed this out and printed it out for the live stream today, I did it in a way that really made sense to me as a singer, you know, one line at a time, you know, first verse, second verse, chorus, you know, verse, chorus, totally logical, 100% logical, without a doubt, right? Doesn't that look, you know, Scott Rhodes, our resident writer, right? I mean, without a doubt, that's how you write down the song, right? Wrong. That is not how you write down this song. That's how you write down a poem, maybe, you know? Are we all singers here? Are we all lyricists? Are we studying, you know, the rhyme scheme? No. We're guitar players, right? So this is, I don't want to say it's worthless, but this is what you see on ultimateguitar.com. And then they do this. I have climbed highest mountains, and they put a bunch of A's only to, and they put a D right there, right? I know you can't even read this. I know, but you know, and maybe they throw in some other A's, and it might, depending on how your computer formats it and you print it out, there's maybe one A, maybe a whole bunch of A's, and then randomly a D shows up that may or may not be right above the actual syllable that the singer is singing at that moment. They try. Sometimes it matches up. Sometimes it's off by like an inch. I mean, I've seen it all at ultimateguitar.com. Only to be with you, you know, and then do the same thing with the second verse, some random A's and D's, and then, but I still, there's an E on the word still, haven't found. Maybe they get it just right. They put the D right above the word found, what I'm looking for. And maybe it does line up. Maybe it's perfect, you know, EDA. So now you've got, like on a site like ultimateguitar.com, you've got every lyric, great. If you're planning on singing it, great, you know. You've got the chords that may be perfectly lined up above the appropriate syllable, or they could be off. And if they're even off by 1/8 of an inch, it messes you up, you know. And if it's off by more than 1/8 of an inch, then what's the point, you know? And now you're supposed to play the song. Okay, go play it. So aside from the fact they haven't shown you the strum pattern, it gives you absolutely no sense of the structure of the tune. Certainly not for the verse. Just, you know, the D pops up, and then it goes back to the A, and it's like you're constantly playing catch up. Like you're singing or you're listening to the band U2, they're singing it, and like you're trying to make sure you have the chord. You get no sense for the structure. Okay, let's just call it, let's not get mad at Ultimate Guitar. Let's just call it a weakness of how almost every song is presented. Okay, so Mr. Big Shot, what's your solution? Okay. My solution, well, I'm just going to go back to what I presented. That's how you present the song to a guitar player. It's not how you see it on Ultimate Guitar, but that's how you play the song. The lyrics, yeah, we want the lyrics, I get it, but like not at the expense of seeing look how clear that is, man. You know how happy I was when I I had my instinct was that this song was going to be pretty easy to present to you guys. You know how happy I was when I realized, oh, wait a minute, it's 2 lines. Full disclosure, it took me longer to write the title of the song than it took to write the rest of it. You know, that gives you a sense for like, oh, structure, right? That you look at this, oh, I can do that. You look at this and you see some A's and D's scattered around. It's, you know, if I ran the circus, that's how I present it. Now, admittedly, I'm going to wrap up in a minute because I know we're going a little bit over time. Admittedly, it is really, really cool to know how the lyrics line up with this stuff. Yes, 100%, 100%. What I tend to do is I write in, I'm not going to do it on this piece of paper because you know why? I actually want to save this for teaching. For the next student who comes in and says, you know any songs by U2? I'd be like, I got one right here. So I don't want to mess up my little handiwork here. But what I'll probably do is I'll write in a single word that aligns perfectly as possible with the like maybe the start of every, well, right under the chord name. So like climbed, the word climbed right there. Climbed, mountains, run, fields, be, you know what I mean? Now that gets us up and running. I'm happy to write in more lyrics, but, you know, just like when you buy something that some assembly required, if a student really, really wants to learn this song, they can either mentally or literally fill in the missing lyrics. I mean, presumably a student who wants to learn this song kind of knows the tune, you know, kind of knows the words basically. And just having 1 or 2 keywords with every chord might really be all they need. I'm kind of counting on that. Most of the time it is. So, okay, I'll wrap up on that note. But to me, that's what Ultimate Guitar doesn't do, doesn't even come close. And that can be frustrating for a lot of people because, to use that word decipher, it's hard to decipher what you truly need when the presentation is a lyrics-based presentation, you know? I get it. Typing out the lyrics is the easiest, most concrete, sort of logical thing to do, you know? But anybody can do that, you know? And then they drop in a couple of chord names. Okay, thank you. Now, full disclosure, I've used Ultimate Guitar a ton, especially when a student says, hey, can we do such and such a song? Maybe I've never heard of it before, or maybe I just don't know it that well. Totally. Ultimate Guitar and all their competitors and similar sites. I've definitely, you name it, I've used it in a lesson. But whenever possible, I take what Ultimate Guitar presents, and as soon as possible, I try to rewrite it to look more like this. Okay, you guys get where I'm coming from? I'm not crazy, right? Okay, so to be continued, all right? But that's when someone says, can you help us decipher ultimateguitar.com? I wanted to do 2 things, and I hope I did that. I want to point out why you're asking that, you know, to begin with. It's because Ultimate Guitar does not present all the information you need. So you're not crazy if you get frustrated by websites like that. And the second part is, this is the alternative. And this, from my humble point of view, is way more logical if you're a guitar player and you prioritize the guitar playing and the structure of the tune as your number 1 priority. And then secondarily, lining up the lyrics, you know, as a secondary thing. All right. Thank you for listening. I feel better. Thanks. All right, you guys. On that note, how about if we wrap up on that happy note? My weekend begins now. Woohoo! So I'm going to say a couple of thank yous and a couple of good nights and goodbyes. Thank you. I see 35 people here. I appreciate that. Some of you have been here for the duration. Final poll results, 82%, pretty consistent for a whole live stream for the past 2 hours plus. Yeah, 80-20, about an 80-20 breakdown. 80% say yes, it's okay to noodle on the guitar. And as you guys heard, I say yes as well, with a little caveat in there too. Before I say some good nights, I will be time stamping tonight's live stream, probably tomorrow morning. And so anything you want to come back to, it'll be much easier to come back to that particular topic when the video is time stamped. In the description of this video already are a bunch of things that you may be interested in, such as the Sweetwater affiliate link, the Spotify playlist of all the play-along songs we've done up until now, the YouTube playlist of all the previous live streams. This is number 53. Remember, we've come a long way, baby. The Discord invite. We have a Discord server up so we all can chat with each other outside of the live stream. I updated the invite and I clicked the little box that says make this invite permanent. So for those of you who are familiar with Discord, already in the description of this video is the Discord invite link so you can join the chat there on Discord. There's a lot in the description of this video already, and then probably tomorrow morning I'll be time stamping it. Okay, time to say good night. Scott, Harrison, good night. TEH Captain Hare, good night. Joseph, Wendy, Dr. Drugs, thanks for being here, Dr. Drugs. Blair, Deborah, who else? Danielle, Thunder Ace, Ted, thanks for being here, Ted. Pooper John, thanks for being here. I think I'm Omar, if you're still here. All right, you guys. Good night to all of you. I do appreciate you being here. Head over to song-bike.com. Get yourself a little something. Soon I will be uploading the PDF of that ABC's Ain't No Sunshine thing to my website. All right, everybody. I'll see you next Saturday. Let's do this all again. If you think of questions during the week, you can email me, info@song-bike.com, info@song-bike.com. I believe that's in the description of this video as well. Okay, thanks for sticking around, everybody. I don't think the thunderstorms ever happened here. I think I'm safe to run. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great week. Play the guitar. Take care.